It does seem like the Restoration Druids are still present in the meta. We've seen kind of everything already so far. I think the only healer we are yet to see is the Priest so far today, but Zinyak is still in the competition. Maybe we will see the jungle cleave from him later on. Now we've got to get on to our next series here. It is Method Black, by far and away the #1 point standing team earned for Europe, both in terms of the summer season and the grand scheme of things, the entire year standing. So these guys very likely to qualify through to BlizzCon, but once again, they are playing against one of those teams that has caused them a little bit of trouble in the spring season. Diabolus, of course, reverse swept them at the spring finals to get a second place finish there. And Diabolus have been also having a pretty decent start to this summer season. They're currently tied in 3rd place alongside Wildcard Gaming and Changed My Mind. So everything's up for grabs here. Zyzon got eliminated, and I mean, a lot of these teams who are quite hungry for that summer final spot will see that as an opportunity for the tournament to kind of blow wide open in their favor.
I mean, if Diabolus can win this matchup, they can make it into the grand finals. That's going to be, I mean, obviously really good for them. Or sorry, into the upper finals. That's going to be super good for them as a team. Method Black last week had a great performance against Diabolus. We were talking about Diabolus being this team that played the Rogue Mage Druid mirror better than anyone else. No one could contend with their Rogue Mage Druid mirror. However, we saw last week Method Black really put it to Diabolus, actually beat them in the mirror. And now, leading with their best foot forward, both of these teams are going to be locking in that Rogue Mage Druid matchup. And this is one of those matchups where really everyone's a target and anything can happen. Yeah, we kind of had a hierarchy for these Rogue Mage Druid mirrors where we said, oh, the Saplands onto Nixie. We said that Diabolus was the best, Method Black was second, and then Changed My Mind was struggling in those mirrors. But then Method Black, as always, they proved us wrong. They won the mirror against Diabolus and won that series last week. Now both the teams do open with that, though, and I mean, it doesn't get much better than this, does it, Sid?
Usually if the Rogue gets sapped, that is usually the end of the game for the team that gets sapped, but Waz didn't really capitalize on that moment. Method Black kind of just waited, and now Nixie's just going to be on crowd control dimission returns. Method Black go for a healer kill early on. This seems to be an effective strategy against the Restoration Druids, as you can spell steal the Gladiator Safeguard, but they don't do enough damage. They're not getting the Gladiator Safeguard. They need to keep pushing for it. Waz knows that. He's going to vanish to try and push through for it. They need just a tiny bit more damage. Is Asgrath perhaps not running it? There's the Gladiator Safeguard, but he is easily out of line of sight and recovered. It's good recovery from Asgarath, not overextending his defensive lineup whatsoever. Vendetta available now for Nixie. Where is he going to commit that? Seems like Raikou is the target for Diabolus, but that's a bit strange. Nixie the target now for Method Black, so it appears to me that Diabolus want to do the standard strategy of targeting down the mage. Method Black are doing a switch strategy between Nixie and Asgarath. So the playstyle already drastically different between these two teams playing the same comp.
We'll have to see. Raikou now in a kidney shot. Good damage coming in from Diabolus. What are they going to be able to get done? Chaz in a bash. Is there any follow-up? Alec looking for the Ring of Frost. Doesn't manage to find it, but there was a Cyclone that landed by Asgaroth. Really good control there. Good teamwork coming in. Nixie getting swapped to. Big burst. Raikou and Waz forced Nixie a little bit defensive in this situation. He has no Cloak of Shadows. He's actually a really good target. If Waz and Raikou can stay on target, Nixie could be in a lot of trouble. Nice Ring of Frost lands from Alec, controlling up Waz, not allowing him to continue the assault onto Nixie. And now, Waz and Raikou, they're looking to get aggressive on Asgaroth.
Yeah, constantly switching between the Rogue and the Druid, whereas Diabolus are going for the steady strategy of attacking the Mage. But the steady strategy of attacking the Mage may not be the best here. I feel like Method Black have burned so much of Asgarath's mana as he needs to heal 2 targets. Beautiful Cyclone on Asgarath. That's going to give time for Waz to potentially reposition. Waz right on top of him, looking for the stun. They Cyclone again. Where's the kidney shot? They could just end the game. Waz gets stunned. He trinkets out to go for it. They drop the smoke bomb. They're all inning, but it's not really enough. Nixie actually drops the smoke bomb, on top of Asgarath, stopping some of the Frost Mage damage, but even still not enough. Method Black, they know what this patch is, those recent hotfixes, and that strategy looked gnarly. I'm wondering if Diabolus are going to adopt it for themselves in game 2.
Yeah, that was a very convincing game for Method Black. We talked about these Rogue Mage Druid mirrors, Zico and Method Black. They just look so good in every regard, essentially.
Yeah, Method Black really, and there's not much to say about it. They just, like, this is Method Black. In spring, they mainly played Raikou and Swapsy, and they, they were just kind of cruising with that Demon Hunter and that DK, just pretty much winning all the time. And we were talking about, oh, well, Waz is on the bench, Waz is on the bench, Waz is a phenomenal player, he's on the bench. And then now it's a Rogue Mage Druid meta. All of a sudden, Waz is off the bench, and they just look like they didn't lose, you know, any of their momentum. It looked like nothing changed really for Method Black. And this Druid strategy in the mirror, I really love the Druid strategy, because you go on Askarath, you force out, you know, the trinket, and Askarath is trying to hold on to his bark skins here to be a little bit greedy there with those. So he doesn't want a bark skin and trinket on the same stun. And then, of course, Chaz. Every single time we see these guys play, it's Chaz goes in, gets the low cyclone, and then here Nixie drops his smoke bomb, which is a very nice defensive smoke bomb right there. But still, it's not gonna be enough. Waz, did he still have Vendetta at the end there?
Well, Ascraft still had bark skin as well. That was the interesting thing. He didn't use bark skin the entire time. I think he was trying to hold through with the Iron Bark, but as you say, without the offenses committed, it's kind of crazy.
So Waz like, I'm not pressing Vendetta. Ascraft's like, you know what? I'm not pressing bark skin. Let's see what happens. Let's see.
He died.
A game of chicken. I guess Waz is gonna have 2 Vendettas next game.
Well, maybe. So Ascraft has 2 bark skins for that as well, because I mean that game, like, you can't blame him, because as you say, he was probably thinking, well, I'm dead if Vendetta if I don't have anything, but equally he was dead either way, kind of an impossible situation. And this seems to be the thing, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the evolution of the Rogue Mage meta, because we've seen Rogue Mage a lot throughout Legion. We've seen it basically in every expansion. Why do you think these Rogue Mage Druids now favor going for the healer more? Is it more that they kind of force the enemy team defensive, or is it just simply that it's the best target in terms of the easiest to kill?
Well, there's several reasons. So when we talk about Rogue Mage, this is tangent time, but when we talk about Rogue Mage, a lot of it is when you play with a Priest, Mage becomes a juicier target because you have 2 range damage dealers, you have offensive dispel, you have mass dispel for the ice blocks as well. So you can kill the Mage through his defensives a lot of the time. You can remove Temporal Shield and go through it. You just have more offensive power. So when you have a Priest, you also have a target that's a lot harder to kill because you have that focused will proccing when you're going on him. So in order to kill the Priest, you have to tunnel him, and usually when it's a Rogue Mage Priest versus a Rogue Mage Priest, it's very high pace, so you don't have time to sit there and tunnel the Priest, because then the enemy RMP is going to just kill one of your guys. Now in the Rogue Mage Druid matchups, the Dispel just has a cooldown, so it's like you go on the Druid, he has to sit in bear form, so if you poly the Rogue, if you poly the Mage, Druid goes out to Dispel it, well, he's going to get Kidney Shot in caster form. That's going to be a big momentum swing for your team, even if he gets the Dispel. As long as you get the stun out of form, it's a big win for the team. So I feel like when you don't go for the Druid, then he also becomes a big threat because he can just spam out Cyclones, which you cannot Dispel as well. So I think it depends a little bit on the game. It depends on how people are playing as well. There's not really a script for the Rogue Mage Druid mirror. It's just like, oh, okay, Nixie trinketed offensively, or use Cloak of Shadows to, you know, get more uptime, or use Smoke Bomb defensively. Let's go on Nixie. Or, oh, Raikou ice blocked out of a polymorph to save Chaz. Oh, let's do a go on Raikou. But it all depends on how defensive the Druid positions as well. If the Druid is kind of in a situation where he's behind a pillar, he's line of sighting everybody, and then you have snares on the enemy Rogue, the Rogue is never going to connect on him, so then you are forced to go on one of the DPS. And Method Black, they have adapted the Druid rushdown strategy beautifully.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed really good. Also, as you called out during the analysis, Chaz is always so on point with the low Cyclones, leaping on top of the enemy healer, getting those time and time again. We talked about Mimpoike, his competition in terms of this offensive Mage Druid kind of play style. It definitely is Chaz. Chaz has looked on point here. We're going to see another mirror coming in from Diabolus. And this is classic Method Black, I got to say. Last week we said it as well. They kind of try out all these compositions, and then they're like, well, what if we just played the Rogue Mage? Normally 1 or 2 games before they've lost the entire series or the entire tournament, and it always seems to work out pretty well for them. So if they stick to their guns here, there's a very good chance they could run away with this competition.
Well, I just like that Method Black is, you know, it seems like they're really on point with the Rogue Mage Druid right now, so I like the fact that they have the confidence to go against a team like Diabolus that has been sort of known for their Rogue Mage mirror prowess and how good they really are at it. I mean, Method Black, they're a team, they're basically an all-star roster. I can't imagine why they wouldn't be able to go toe-to-toe with Diabolus, and they're proving it. I mean, in this cup, in the last cup as well, they've just been doing a really good job. Obviously, Waz and Raikou, Chaz, they've had synergy with this composition or the Rogue Mage Priest for such a long time. And that sort of synergy, that sort of momentum, the strategies they've been able to develop is what allows them to go toe-to-toe with a team like Diabolus.
Well, Zyzon out of the competition. If you are a fan of Zyzon, you will be happy to see Method Black once again on dominant form. They need to soak up as many points as possible so that Zyzon can stay inside that top 4. For Method Black fans, of course, this is just another cruise. Whereas I was saying Method Orange, they like to kind of stop your heart for a beat. If you're a fan of them, Method Black, very much the opposite. They build up your expectations and then have them tumble down a little bit at the finish line. So we have to see if they can do better this year with that. Method Black 1-0 up.
My assessment right now from the tournament with these recent changes is that mages don't die. I feel like the mage is not going to be the target for either rogue mage. I feel like the druid is probably the best overall, but the rogue can be susceptible as well. So I would like to see Diabolus adopt the same type of strategy. Method Black are already going after the healer with Cyclone on Alec and Poly on Nixie as 3 versus 1, and Asgrass. Whoa! He's just getting blasted out within seconds into this fight. His Gladiator Safeguard going to proc, jumping over to safety now, but still very low on health if they can stay in hot pursuit, but they are unable to. Raiku's still the target for Diabolus. They are hammered on this strategy of trying to kill the enemy mage. Iron Bark of Chaz looks like it should be enough. Method Black actually attacking Alec on the mage a tad bit, but they would like to get back to Asgrath either with a blind or a kidney shot as soon as possible. Chaz is moving forward, gets Cone of Cold, shapeshifts out. What is Chaz looking for, though? It just kind of ran at Asgrath. Maybe he was kind of trying to scare him away with potential cyclones. Asgrath then jumps in and looks for crowd control of his own. Alec blinks over, double crowd control casted. Not going to be able to stop both of those. Diabolus have Raikou basically all to himself, but Waz reverses it, stunning up Alec. Method Black reversed the strategies, going after the mage a bit here, potentially trying to throw Diabolus off.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why, I mean, we can see here actually if Alex is going to be in trouble. Have to see what he's going to be able to get done. But I think one of the main reasons why it's so difficult to take down a mage in these games is because of Conflict and Strife, both mages have access to Kleptomania Spell Steal as well as the Temporal Shield. Finally, Alec is going to be forced to do an Ice Block, but I feel like he didn't even need to go into Ice Block. He had the Safeguard, he had an Ice Bearer. I think he was going to be completely fine. They're looking to reverse the damage onto Raikou, but that's what I was saying. When you have Kleptomania on both mages, whatever mage uses Kleptomania first is actually a little bit behind. So let's say Raikou uses Kleptomania on Alec, takes off all of his Restoration Druid heal over time effects. He's completely stripped of any sort of magic healing. All of a sudden, Alec can use Kleptomania and basically get a jackpot Kleptomania, like we like to call it. Then he gets not only his Druid hot back, but all the hots that Chaz has rolling on Raikou. And because of that, this ends up being sort of a stalemate where neither mage really wants to use their spell steal. They both have access to Temporal Shield, and you can't really dispel that off. And then all of a sudden, both the mages just become essentially tanks in this matchup.
Iron Bark active on Raikou. Ice Barrier absorbing some hits. Raikou blinking in. Both teams going for the mage strategy, but Asgrath is already so far behind on mana. Thanks to the pressure Method Black had initially, they're behind on one Ice Block. I'm not sure if this is a race that Diabolus can still win from this position. It's definitely going to be an uphill battle. Can they pull it off? They need a top performance here. They've got a good opportunity to get solidly into the top 4 with Zyzon being knocked out of the competition so early on, but if they can't best Method Black, then they are going to have to do it in the lower side of the bracket, and there are a lot of formidable teams already down there waiting for them. Asgrath in a full polymorph. Raikou looking for damage on Alec. Chaz continues the chain with the Cyclone. Race against the clock with this Temporal Shield. Is it going to go off in time? No. Ice Block, second out of the way. Method Black they're winning on every single strategy. They've won on the strategies of racing the healer. They're winning on the strategies of going after the mage. Maybe it's not even a case of mages don't die. It's a case of Raikou doesn't die.
Well, I mean, so far he hasn't died yet. Alex still alive also. This is his Icy Veins. He's looking to get aggressive, but like I said, Raikou can't really afford to spell steal it. Otherwise, Alec will just take it right back. So, because of that little stalemate, Alec does manage to hold on to his Icy Veins, but unfortunately not able to get anything rolling. I mean, like you said, Method Black, they're ahead in basically every single way. Chaz has more mana. Raikou has both Ice Blocks. Alec doesn't have another one available for another 3 minutes once Cold Snap resets, and we're going to have to see Diabolus try to make something happen. They're going to be going after Chaz. He reads the situation. He's in bear form. Do they have the damage to take him down? Raikou actually just throws out an Ice Block, trades caution to the wind. He doesn't care. He's got Ice Blocks for days in this situation. He uses it as a trinket, trying to get the damage rolling over on Alec and peel a little bit for Chaz, but he gets caught in a polymorph, and that was his Icy Veins. Really not able to accomplish too much. Really good peels there by Alec.
Well, didn't you hear? Raikou can't die. I mean, the Ice Block is just a trinket for him, so this is going to allow him to get some more pressure, but certainly does open the option to take him down later in the fight. Dampening about 20 seconds away. Mana surprisingly even out, so Diabolus have kept themselves in the game in that regard. Asgrath activating Iron Bark to deal with this push from Raikou onto Alec. Seems like it's going to be more than enough. Nixie setting up, but gets polymorphed. No dispel as Asgrath's blinded. He trinkets, he dispels. Nixie now in a Frost Nova. Raikou looking to get away as soon as possible. Ursul's Vortex is down though. Definitely going to need to be keeping an eye on that. Nixie pulls out of it. Not going to be wasting his Shadow Step. Much more pressure on Alec in this position. No defense for Asgrath. Asgrath is looking for Cyclones, but there are interrupts available. If he gets interrupted here, it could be game over. Smoke Bomb gets dropped. Waz looking to make a play, but gets intercepted. They pop Vendetta anyway. There's no blocks remaining. Ice Barrier active, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Asgrath's crowd controlled for an extended period of time, and Method Black are just asserting dominance with their Rogue Mage Druid. Who can stop them?
I mean, do you remember, Sid, when we were casting GCD TV and we saw Colo kind of styling on that team? We won every game in 30 seconds, and just for fun, they killed all 3 members of the enemy team to win the Series 3-0. It feels like that's kind of what Method Black's doing here. Maybe they kill Nixie next game.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. They could definitely take Nixie down as well in one game, but I don't think it's the main strategy, honestly. I like that they go after Alec, they set up the CC chains as well, and usually the team that sets the tempo in these mirrors is Diabolus. They usually are the ones that go after Chaz. They're usually the ones who have, you know, the tunnel, the Druid strategy down better than anyone else. But when it comes to a mage race, it just didn't feel like they could do too much about it. You know, Asgrath trinkets out of that blind, activates the Iron Bark. Alec caught up in a kidney shot, and Chaz, he's just so annoying. I mean, look at him. He's just standing there behind the pillar, waiting to restuff, waiting for, you know, Cyclones to be casted out, just keeping Raikou in a position, and they're keeping Asgrath in a position where he's essentially in between Raikou and Asgrath, and Chaz, sorry. And then here, Asgrath just gets caught up in the middle of the map, Ring of Frost gets casted out, Hibernate gets casted out, Cyclone, you know, there's just too many people to interrupt, and Alec, of course, can't do too much about that one. Gonna go down.
Yeah, and Venriku was pointing it out because we have details in front of us so we can see kind of the damage breakdowns, that there is a huge difference between the mage's damage. Raikou just doing way more.
Raikou in that last game essentially did twice the damage of Alec, so
yeah.
I mean, he's doing a really good job in this matchup. I think he topped damage as well in game number 1, so
yep.
Just putting lots of pressure for his team. Interrupts is another thing we're kind of looking at. Waz actually, I mean, he destroyed Nixie in terms of effective interrupts in that game, landing 8 kicks as opposed to Nixie's 3. So little things like that can really start developing an advantage in a mirror if you're shutting down, you know, key polymorphs that deny peels. That allows Raikou a little bit more uptime to spam out damage, and there's just small things like that where you see the pressure really in favor of Method Black.
Yeah, and I mean, like, double the damage on the mage isn't because Raikou's twice as good at mage as Alec necessarily. It's more the fact that maybe, you know, a couple of extra interrupts come in, a little bit of extra damage, that pressure snowballs, and Method Black just completely exploit that every single time. They're 2-0 up in the series. They're 1 game away from Championship Sunday. Don't go anywhere. We'll have the next mirror up next. We have had a day of one-sided series so far, and once again, we are going to see an interesting adaptation coming in from Diabolus. They're 2-0 down, they've got the smallest map, and they seem to fancy the composition that Wildcard Gaming tried to change my mind. It didn't look too good for them, though.
It definitely didn't look too good. So, I mean, this speaks volumes to me. Now we're in a situation where we thought Diabolus was untouchable in mirrors. I mean, that's what we heard. I didn't necessarily believe it, but that's what every team was saying. And now they've been forced off the Rogue Mage Druid mirror because Method Black has just been slaughtering them, essentially. Now Nixie coming in the Arms Warrior. I feel like this is a worse matchup.
This is a throw. I mean, like, there's no other way to describe it.
Is it really, though? I mean, they already were 2-0 down in the mirror, quite convincingly. I mean, why is this more of a throw, Sid?
After watching Wildcard Gaming play this out, it's Blizzo Warrior. I mean, I feel like the experience overall on that roster is probably a lot more. Perhaps the map is a big factor. We saw Wildcard Gaming playing on large maps. The small map might give the Arms Warrior a little bit more area to move and stay on target. Raikou pre-temporal shielding the incoming stun here, anticipating a lot of damage while his healer was crowd controlled and able to stabilize through quite a lot of it. Although Raikou is certainly taking more damage than we've seen in any other game prior.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing Diabolus has going on for them in this matchup is Nixie's transmog. I mean, when
It's
we
beautiful, always.
yeah, when we saw Wildcard Gaming run this earlier, Blizzo did not have nearly as good as a transmog, and I think that could be the X factor for
Nixie
Diabolus.
always has such good transmogs. It's crazy.
Ooh, big setup here on Alec. Interrupt secured from Raikou onto Asgrath, clone onto Nixie, and this is just what we see time and time again. It just seems like control is so much more in favor of the Rogue Mage team. The consistent lockdown of the Mage with Kidney Shot really allows the other Mage to get crowd control out, the Druid a lot more freedom, and just seems a lot easier in this match for Raikou and Chaz to get follow-up crowd control. Definitely more difficult for Alec and Asgrath.
All right, Raikou taking a lot more damage than we've seen throughout the entire series. So potentially not a throw, but still, it was a matchup that looked so one-sided for Change My Mind earlier in the day. Perhaps Diabolus can do it better. Alec cycloned at low health, trying to anticipate the Iron Bark of Asgrath. Unfortunately not finding it. Cyclone again at low health, making it difficult for Asgrath to heal. No third Cyclone. Raikou looking to set up for some big burst. Waz gets a re-stealth. That's going to set up a stun for Raikou to polymorph out of. Beautiful setup there from Waz. Going for a stealth while the target was Cyclone, securing crowd control. But now Alec is looking to try and avoid the fight. Manages to at least avoid it long enough for Asgrath to get out of crowd control, connect an Iron Bark and Cyclone Raikou on his Icy Veins. Equally responded to by Alec. Solid defense.
Yep, good defensive plays there, good cooldown management, patience. Bash now onto Chaz, Asgrath moving in, but he has to heal Alec. Alec goes for crowd control, unfortunately unable to find it. Asgrath finds the Cyclone, but where's the damage? Raikou holding on off the back of that ice barrier. Is he going to be able to stabilize? That's the question. Chaz needs to find some heals. Raikou gets sheeped. This is the Iron Bark. He's in execute range, but a big heal comes in from Chaz, allowing Raikou to hold on to his first ice block. We'll have to see. Does Diabolus have what it takes to take him down? No. A massive heal coming in from Chaz. Immediately tops off Raikou, and now it's Diabolus on the back foot.
Ooh, Asgrath sitting through 1 second left with Cyclone. Alec holding on with Temporal Shield. They don't want to use any more, but that was a risky trade, considering they're on match point. Alec cycloned again at low health, but Chaz isn't an intimidating shout. Nixie trying to take the fight into his own hands here to set up the team for victory, but they can't get the follow-up. Waz shuts it down again. Waz getting another re-stealth, setting up the team for beautiful crowd control. That's going to get them an ice block. Perfectly done by Method Black. Now they're with a significant advantage. They need to get an ice block here from Raikou. Perhaps they can. Sharpened Blade, reducing a lot of healing on Raikou, but Chaz is not crowd controlled, easily healing with it and dispensing with that pressure with Iron Bark. Some casted regrowths. Mana is still even. Diabolus still have that at least on their side. No significant advantage there. Asgrath is blinded, but he's sitting through it. He doesn't want to... Trinket's a little bit late into it, connecting Iron Bark. Now, it would be my best guess that Waz wants to switch to Asgrath with that Vendetta in about 10 more seconds. If Raikou, Chaz, and Waz can all connect as 3 members, Asgrath could be in a lot of trouble. Chaz currently in a stun. Diabolus coordinating triple crowd control. Well done on their part. This should net them an ice block, and it does almost immediately. Raikou going to respect that situation. The coordination of Diabolus, I would say overall, looks a lot better than Wildcard Gaming's Warrior, Mage, Druid in terms of offense and crowd control. Of course, their experience together with Rogue Mage is going to be a lot more with that play style than that of Wildcard Gaming, which is much more focused on attrition dampening play style. So maybe this does work, the Warrior, Mage, Druid, but you need a more aggressive stance. They switch to Chaz with 5 seconds left. Can they pull it off? They managed to spell seal the guy's medallion, but at the same time, Method Black make their swap. This is what they were waiting for with the Vendetta. Alec needs to help save him, and he does manage to do so, polymorphing Waz away. Chaz is still very low as both Druids struggle to recover. 10 seconds away from dampening. Slight mana lead now for Diabolus.
Yep, we'll have to see what they can get done. Right now, things aren't looking too bad for Diabolus. Alec has actually not used this cold. Both mages holding onto their cold snap, so could be a long time before we see a third ice block from either of these mages. We'll have to see who decides to use it first. Alec now in a kitty shot. Asgrath mana doing a little bit better than Chaz. Surprisingly, the consistent damage coming in from Diabolus is looking good for their team. Raikou looking to get aggressive with Icy Veins, putting out massive damage. He gets storm bolted up. Nixie with beautiful peels in the game so far. And this is actually a relatively even matchup. Alec is going to be able to hold on for now. The Ice Bear doing its work, keeping him alive. We're at 4% dampening right now, and we still don't know who I favor if the game goes on long. I don't know if either team is really going to have a massive edge when it comes to dampening.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either. Right now, it's actually looking better and better for Diabolus. They're in a position where they're even on ice blocks. They're slightly ahead on mana. It appears to me that if you're running the Warrior Mage Druid, you need small maps. So the Warrior can bounce between the targets a little bit more frequently, and as well as setting up crowd control on the 3 members of the team. If Wildcard Gaming are watching this, they could potentially take this strategy and this style for their own advantage to try and thwart the Rogue Mages in the tournament, as there's still 3 predominant ones. Asgrath gets blind here. Another opportunity for Vendetta from Waz to switch to him, but Chaz is in a Cyclone. Raiku's in some trouble. I've been saying Raikou doesn't die, but perhaps here today in this match he will. His Gladiator Safeguard has been triggered. He's not going to have that defense moving forward, but Asgrath is now in crowd control. Alec is the target, potentially needing to cold snap. He would like to hold on to it for another 45 seconds if he can, but I don't think he can. The damage is quite high at 10% dampening. Asgrath is reluctant to commit the Iron Bark in this position. Maybe he wants to hold it for the Vendetta. Waz is now on crowd control, diminishing return. He can make a big power play during the moment of time out of this Cyclone. Are they going to go for the swap? No, they go for the Mage. They pop Vendetta. This should be an easy cold snap ice block with crowd control and Asgrath. Alec needs to do everything he can to hold it, but he can't. Cold snap has been forced. Now he's only going to have 1 ice block. Raikou, on the other hand, if he can hold out for another minute, will have 2. I don't think he's going to be able to. Dampening now at 13%. No mana left on his healer. All 3 members in crowd control. Nixie's going to hammer down with a huge assault, netting him that ice block from Raikou. And Diabolus are looking like they could stay alive with this Warrior Mage Druid.
Honestly, I can't help but feel like both mages really misplayed in that situation. I mean, Raikou now, he used his cold snap. He's not going to have, he used it so late that he's not going to have a 3rd ice block for such a long time. I mean, look at this. Now, another 4 minutes until it's available. His cold snap would have been reset at that point, basically in a minute, and he could have had access to that 3rd ice block. If that ends up losing them the game, I think that was just a giant mistake. Alec looking to get aggressive with his Icy Veins. What is he going to be able to get done? Nixie charges over. Big damage now on Raikou. Has to blink out of the frozen orb. Chaz almost completely tapped on mana. The same for Asgrath. Are either of these druids really going to be able to sneak away and drink? I just feel like pressure for both teams is so high right now. And Diabolus is doing such a good job in this matchup. They could easily take Raikou down. He's in execute range. Are we going to see a spell on Nixie? A nice Cyclone coming in from Asgrath. If they get any crowd control on Chaz, it's the end of the game.
Oh, it's the end of the game right now. This is unrecoverable. The Ursul's Vortex pulling Raikou. I say that, but it's Raikou. I shouldn't say that it's unrecoverable when it's Raikou who I'm talking about. That looked like a situation that nobody should have been able to get out of alive. They're desperate. They blind Nixie. This is one thing I noted is Nixie's playing a gnome relentless warrior. Just kill him in battle stance in a smoke bomb. I feel like he's been going into battle stance pretty frequently. He's been playing aggressive onto Raikou. I feel like that's an out for Method Black if they want to go for it at any point here. Dampening is now pretty high. Raikou still the target. Iron Bark from Chaz needs to be enough. He's caught in an intimidating shout, looking to sit through it. Maybe going to be using Gladiator's Medallion on a Polymorph, wanting to save it for the longer diminishing return. Smoke Bomb gets dropped on an Alec. Could be the 2nd ice block. Dampening is quite high. They're trying to ride on the Temporal. Ursul's Vortex pulls Alec in, but unfortunately Ring of Frost is secured regardless. Temporal stabilizes Alec, and they get Gladiator's Medallion from Chaz. One major objective out of the way. No ice blocks remain. The only thing that is in Method Black's court is that they have Vendetta. Who can they really kill with it? Perhaps Asgrath, perhaps Nixie in a smoke bomb, but they already used the smoke bomb. That's not an option. Raikou is still just hammering away with damage on Alec. Waz is marching forward, desperately trying to connect onto Alec. Chaz jumps in to look for crowd control, but Nixie is there to support. Chaz doesn't have time to fake cast, but they get the polymorph anyway. Perhaps it's enough to get the ice block here. They need to get an ice block with this push. If they can't, they're going to be so far behind. Can they stay on target? They interrupt the poly. They get the ice block. Method Black stay in the fight. Nixie's mixing it up, though, going after Chaz, trying to chop away at the healer. Not trading the Barkskin for that attack. A little bit disrespectful, but Chaz makes it out alive. Alec now with no ice blocks, and it's Asgrath who's totally out of mana. Diabolus on match point, and it looks like Method Black have somehow managed to put themselves back in the game.
Yep, they managed to hold on. Both mages, no ice blocks, and like you said, Chaz sneaking away for a drink. That could be the X factor in this matchup. Alec now into a full kidney shot. Waz looking to reverse the pressure. There's still no Vendetta available for another minute and a half. We're at 31% dampening so far in this match. Stormbolt onto Chaz. They make a swap on the healer. Chaz, how are you going to handle the situation? Manages to cross the map, and he's going to be A-OK. Raikou in a perfect position for Chaz to wild charge away, get across the map, and Nixie and Alec, they cannot chase. And that is just essentially wasted damage incoming from Diabolus in that situation. They've lost all their momentum on Raikou. Alec is just so far behind. He's got no ice block for another minute and a half. Asgaroth's got no mana, and I think that's just going to be the series. Method Black walk away with it, 3-0. Incredibly well played, but I have to say, Diabolus made that matchup look a lot closer than we saw earlier on today.
Yeah, I mean, I actually feel like Diabolus had the game in there. It looked like they had the game in their pocket for a little bit. Very well played from those guys on the Warrior Mage Druid. And traditionally back in Mr. Padero, when this matchup did play out, it was the Warrior Mage Druid that was slightly advantaged. That was kind of the counter, and the only counter, honestly, to Rogue Mage Druid back then. And here, I mean, the matchup does look a little bit more like it could swing either way. Obviously, Wise has a lot of control, and they're able to just kind of win on mana at the end. But I feel like it was more of plays that Method Black made with the drinks, etc., rather than the matchup. What did you think, Zico?
Well, I think that the Warrior's going to bring more pressure, and the Rogue is going to bring more, lockdown, more control, more setup as well. Like when Waz restuffs, he's going to be able to set up, a polymorph on the enemy healer, a kidney shot onto Alec, and that's going to be a big, situation where you can get pressure. And those situations allow Chaz to just get more drinks off. Chaz just did a better job conserving his mana throughout the game. He went for, a lot of cyclones because of that as well. And honestly, I think Nixie playing a relentless warrior, it kind of backfired a bit, because there was one checkmate situation where Raikou was cloned up on like 30% or so. They didn't have anything to really recover with. They had used both ice blocks, Chaz was low on mana, and Nixie just gets blinded, and there's no way out for him from those blinds. And Waz as well, he quickly realizes that this is not a game that we're going to win by, killing Asgaroth after we get him to use his trinket on a blind, or blinding Asgaroth and then crowd controlling him when he doesn't have a trinket and kill Alec. He realizes this is going to be a game where we need to win on mana, so he goes ahead, starts blinding the warrior, reducing their pressure, and that allows Method Black to get more momentum where they can breathe and ultimately win the mana fight. So I think that was a bit of a mistake, but the matchup definitely seemed better than when Wildcard played it.
Yeah, and is that a problem for Wildcard? The fact that Diabolus against potentially the best Rogue Mage Druid in Europe and maybe the world right now had a close game with the Warriors Mage Druid. Does this bode badly for Wildcard Gaming that they look so much worse against Change My Mind?
I think it's just more map, to be honest with you. I think regardless, the result is the same, but I think map definitely made it look a bit closer.
Fair enough.
Compared to Tolveron.
Yep, I think that makes sense. The smaller map definitely in favor of the Warrior. We will now get to see the bracket, guys. We have two more series today. Both of them will be elimination. Two teams are through to Championship Sunday. It's going to be that rematch, Clash of the Titans. Change My Mind going against Method Black. This is a matchup we have seen time and time again in the summer season. Both these teams looking good. Change My Mind, of course, currently tied up in that third place position. They're guaranteeing themselves at least 80 points with a top 3 finish, meaning that they will, at bare minimum, tie with Zizon.